and this is the Global Conversation. A number of things to talk to you about tonight. We at Juniata College, we're on break, but we nonetheless want to get you started on some things. Most important, I think, is paying attention to the study circles. Sadie, a couple of days ago, sent out information about the study circles, and let me just bring you up to date on that. She's assigned everybody to the groups, and there's a teaching assistant assigned to each group as well. Now, the first aspect of this is to, by the 1st of April, so you have more or less 3 weeks to do this, what you should be doing is coming up together with the other members of your circle with a proposal for the project that you want to work on. Then you have a month. That's due the 1st of April, and you should send it to Sadie and copy me on it, but also work on this in your discussion forums. There's special study circle forums set up for this project. So start conversing with others in your circle and see if you can define a project that you all feel good about. And then you work towards the study circle. Now, we're willing to consult with you all along the way. You have questions about it, please let us know. But this is an important part of the course. It's important not least because we're trying to create collaboration with people in different parts of the world. And this is a modest effort at that, but it is meant to give you a sense of what we have to do if we're to take the planet itself as our reference. Many of the issues, and this is something that we keep emphasizing in this class, cannot be dealt with at local or national levels. They're global problems, the most obvious one being climate change, but as I often say in lectures, there's a good chance that pollution on any given day in Los Angeles comes from, to a significant extent, comes from China. Okay, so you want to think about, well, no national government can deal with that. You know, so it has to be some sort of cooperative effort and ultimately global in scale. So think about your study circle. One of the things that we try to emphasize if you choose a particular project, see if you can bring in your local responses to it. In other words, if it's about water pollution, let's say, take a look at what's happening with regard to water pollution in your part of the world. It can be either at national level or at local level. So think about things in that way. So try to take the broad picture, and then on top of that, what you want to do is also bring in the local. So each of you who are in the study circle, in the best of cases, tries to put together your input from a local perspective as well. Now, the kind of production, many students have done PowerPoint presentations in the past. There are various other ways of doing things. You can do video. Video is fairly easy. Even somebody as hopeless with technology as me can figure it out. So don't hesitate to do a video or anything else, audio, interview people, however you try to be as creative as possible, okay? It's, I think, really, really important. A couple of other things I want to point out to you today. There's a very interesting article. You know, you probably have figured out that The Guardian is one of my favorite newspapers because they publish a lot of things that other people don't publish. But there's a very interesting article by Mark Lynaes. Mark Lynaes wrote a book which did inform my thinking at an earlier point in time. It was called 6 Degrees, and what Lynaes did in 6 Degrees was to take the available scientific data and look at what might happen if for each 1 degree rise in temperature above the 1990 standard, and all the way up to 6 degrees. Each chapter built around an additional 1 degree change. And it was quite, a stunning book. I mean, it made a lot of people stop and think. Well, he's now talking about genetically modified food, and here's the issue, okay? If you live in a rich country, you can easily say, oh, we don't want genetically modified food because we don't know what the consequences of it are. And there are significant consequences. Those of you interested in food might look at this as a project, have some sort of relationship to this in your study circle project. But Lynaes is arguing, of course, as are some other people, that genetically modified food may be, in the immediate future, the only way to feed lots and lots of people. As you should know, there are well over 1 billion people every day who don't get enough food to eat. That's about 14-15% of the world's population. So you want to think about, how do we deal with that? How do we just let people starve? What do we do? Now, a lot of people will say, well, let's look at food waste. One of the things that happens every day in the United Kingdom and the United States is that enormous amounts of food are thrown away. The study that I saw suggests that about food to feed 1.5 billion people is thrown away every day. And it isn't just, not finishing what's on your plate, but it's actually the way in which the food system is organized. So a couple of years ago when I was teaching at the University of Ulster, one of my students was working at a well-known supermarket chain, one of its smaller stores actually, and he said that they threw away every day into a bin that they locked so nobody could steal it, which seems, mad. But he said that every day it was about 1,000 pounds sterling of food. For those of you who are using dollars, that's probably about $1,500 every day, right? So multiply that by 365, and you say to yourself, my God, that's a lot of money, a lot of food thrown away, okay? So take a look at these issues and try and be as creative as possible. If you want to get in touch with me or Sadie or Ray Haggerty about these issues, you can also talk to the teaching assistant who is assigned to your study circle. How does this issue sound? Do you think we can do it this way, etc., etc.? And I want to urge you all as well to do something which some people in the past have, there is the problem of the free rider, the person who's not going to really do something. You need to be proactive. We hope everybody will be proactive, but if you're in this class and you're supposedly an active member, we expect you to be active. And don't leave it up to somebody else to say, hey, we're having problems here. Joe Schmo isn't doing his work, okay? And let us know. Let us know. We'll be keeping an eye on it, but we want those of you who are committed to doing a really solid project to have as much support as possible, okay? So, the other issue to take a look at, and I wanted to give you a couple of things. I often quote in lectures that I give the story about a whale that was found on the California coast, washed up on the beach. Just the other day, we've had another case of it in Spain. The sperm whale had swallowed enormous quantities of food, thought it was food, but it was plastic. Let me tell you what they found inside this unfortunate mammal, right? This is on the southern coast of Spain, near Almeria and Granada. They found, among other things, 59 different bits of plastic. Most of it, the thick, transparent sheeting used to build greenhouses in the southern part of Spain, right? This is where an awful lot of those little lettuce leaves that people in the north eat comes from. In addition, they found a clothes hanger, an ice cream tub, and bits of mattress. What happened, of course, was that the plastic eventually blocked the animal's stomach, and it died. Horrible, absolutely horrible. In all, the whale stomach contained 24 pieces of transparent plastic, some plastic bags, 9 meters, that's about 10 yards of rope, 2 stretches of hose pipe, 2 small flower pots, and a plastic spray canister. These are things that are used in the production of vegetables and tomatoes in southern Spain. So, be thinking about this. Start protesting. Ask your supermarket where do their vegetables come from, and under what conditions are they produced. And what we're seeing apparently is that much of this stuff used in the production of these vegetables is just dumped into places where it washes into the sea. This is a general problem for those of you who watched the short video that we have in the early part of the course about the nurdles, the plastic pearls, and other things that are in the sea. This is going to be an increasingly difficult problem. Okay, so that's one to take a look at. Another thing to take a look at is let's see, let me see if I get this right now. It has to do with the labeling of genetically modified foods. Again, this comes back to the issue that Mark Lynaes, and I'll send you the copy of the article, Lynaes is talking about. But this is very interesting because it's a U.S. company. There are people, including Jared Diamond, who wrote the book Collapse, who think that the efforts of companies may be part of the solution in the nearer term to some of the environmental problems that we face. So the company is a supermarket chain which emphasizes organic foods and other supposedly good things for you. It's called Whole Foods, and they are going to make it mandatory, even though government will not. They are going to make it mandatory to label all foods with regard to whether or not it has genetically modified ingredients in it. A lot of people worry about it. I'll give you a good example of why. A close friend of mine has allergies to fish. What happens if fish genes, for some reason, are put into strawberries? Perhaps you put in a gene like this into strawberries, and you can wonderfully have insects that will no longer pay attention to them. But what happens to her if she eats a strawberry that's genetically modified with something that she's allergic to? She could be in big trouble, right? Anaphylactic shock, the whole business. So that's one of the concerns, and there are many others, right? There are larger structural issues, of course. Are we thereby destroying the broad base of our food sources? So if we get down to just one predominant strain, is that a problem? If the seeds are controlled by 1 or 2 large corporations, is that a problem? Those kinds of issues are coming to the fore. Do read the article by Lynaes, however, because I think you'll find it very, very interesting. And I'll also send you something on what Whole Foods, the company that I suppose most American students would, I think, know about. And I'll also send you the story about this poor whale. At any rate, please do get active with the study circles. We hope you'll be really engaged. This weekend, it may be a little bit difficult to do a normal mini lecture, but what I'm hoping to do, we organize every spring a conference, and we're doing it around ecocide in the south of France with American and European students. And what we want to do is to take a look at whether we can stimulate the same kind of initiatives that European students have taken with regard to ecocide, and see if American students can pick up the ball as well and create some sort of initiative to make ecocide an international crime. There'll be a lot more information on that as we go along in the course, We'll try to post some videos from the conference next week. Take care of yourselves. All the best. Happy St. Patrick's Day coming up here shortly. Try to drink organically, if you will. All the best. Bye-bye.